Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the CryptoCrow. Good morning, wherever you may be. It's actually about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my time. I am talking to you in the future. We're going to make this video short because I want it to be concise and, easy to understand. And we're basically going to map out what I'm looking at in terms of short-term price prediction for Bitcoin. And as we all know, as Bitcoin price rises, the rest of the market generally does as well. We're of course waiting for the altcoin market, right? And ultimately, Bitcoin is it's obviously a risk on asset, but altcoins are considered even riskier. And the larger the market capitalization of the altcoin, the less riskier it's considered to be. Typically, the really powerful layer ones like Cardano and Ethereum and some of the others. So this is actually the current Bitcoin chart on a daily, okay, that goes all the way back to October of 2024. And what you're looking at here, if you're not familiar, are a series of Wykoff patterns in the price. Now, these aren't, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. These are very broad, but basically it shows the kind of the start and finish to each individual pattern. And we're going to start with this all the way back here in October. You can see on October, and basically what I want you to do is I want you to look up the Wykoff patterns, okay? Accumulation, distribution, reaccumulation, etc. I want you to look those up, and I want you to chart these out for yourself. But basically, all the way back here, we see an accumulation pattern where Bitcoin rose about 52% into the final markup phase, okay? And basically, this is where we are right now. We're just starting this right here, okay? So if Bitcoin initially rose up 52% from the start to this accumulation, so from here to here, where we started to get our rise up, and then we entered the markup phase, which is where it went up another, a total basically of about 81% from this point here. All right. So we basically went from around $60,000 all the way up to $108,445 up at this peak. And then we started our distribution phase. Okay. From distribution, we entered the markdown, and then we went into reaccumulation. Okay. So this is a cycle in and of itself over a daily candle. So from basically October of 2024 to March 15th, roughly, is when we, or the week of March 15th, this basically was an entire Wykoff system of patterns. It was one full cycle. We're just starting the new cycle here. And this basically started in a, right around now. I mean, for the most part, well, not right around now. This was last month. So basically mid last month. And so this is where we're at now. And if we were to now, and bear with me for a minute here, but if we were to just copy what happened in this first cycle, then by the end of this reaccumulation phase, so approximately, this one here was 42 days long. So I measured this out 42 days. Right now, we're getting closer, but we still have until closer to the end of this month before we conclude this reaccumulation phase. So potentially from here, we could either just start moving straight up, or we could get a little bit of a dip and then go up. But this would be roughly a 42-day reaccumulation phase if we matched what happened back here. Now, what I think is going to be more, rather than us see a dramatic pump into this month, which would basically come to the, this here's the end of April. I can see us moving up, maybe breaking around the $89,000 mark by the end of this month. And I know I'm going on a limb by saying this, but I trust these Wykoff patterns more than my own intuition. But I also trust what's happening in May. And I know that a lot of my content over the past couple months has been focusing on May, but I believe May is the culmination of the moment most of us have been waiting for a multitude of reasons. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So basically I can see the price moving up, and I really do believe that our markup phase, it could either start up here, but I actually think the markup phase is probably going to start somewhere around here, somewhere around the $90,000 mark, and really rip through the month of May into June. That's what I see happening. And this is just if these two matched. This is just if these two, if this reaccumulation and markup pattern basically matched what happened in October, starting in October of 2024. But that gets us to about June. I don't necessarily believe we're going to peak until somewhere around October. So what would likely happen is if the peak is somewhere around this period, let's just say October 6th, okay, then we basically have all this time to get another rally. And we could, this is 40 days. So the markup period is about 40 days, which is what this is. Then we would have the distribution and markdown before we started a new reaccumulation. So that's the question. Does this continue on in a pattern and maybe take us up to like the $250,000 price? Because that's based on if we maintain a cycle. I also don't necessarily believe that we are heading into a market peak. If it does, it'll probably be, technically speaking, October, September, August. So that'd be 1, 2, 3. If we wanted to take the offset of Bitcoin's all-time high, its new all-time high for this cycle, if we wanted to take that offset of a few months leading into the halving and then say, well, maybe the market peaks out 3 months earlier in this cycle, then it would probably end up somewhere around the end of May or maybe June. I don't think that's happening. I think this is just going to be a leg up because honestly, this could be substantially larger. It really depends on what happens. Honestly, a part of me believes that it depends on what happens in May. I think that the higher the peak we get in May, the less likely we continue on for this cycle. If we just get a subtle peak, maybe we reach a new all-time high in May, which I do believe is absolutely possible, then we may very well continue the cycle, working through the system of Wykoff patterns. And keep in mind, the reason why Wykoff is such a big deal is because this is what all the institutions typically are using. This is what they use generally on larger time frames, well, typically on a daily. But you can also do this on a weekly. Some could even look at it on a monthly, and you're still going to find these patterns and they're going to make a lot of sense. And you can just whittle them down further and further into smaller time frames. But effectively, I think we should be somewhere around $200,000 right now in Bitcoin, but we're not. And we could get a very dramatic slingshot all the way up into the $200,000 mark. Maybe that would conclude the market cycle. But that's basically what I'm looking at and what I expect to see play out from here. One way or another, though, I believe May is going to be a substantial month. We've also got everything happening with Cardano happening in May, the Bitcoin OS, all of that stuff is going to be showcased, if not launched. We're going to have midnight. I believe we're going to have the midnight airdrop launch, which is basically going to bring tens of millions of people across multiple ecosystems to the Cardano blockchain. And then I think we're going to start seeing announcements of major use cases related to midnight. People that have been developing on testnet and people who've been developing these applications, I believe, are going to start announcing what it's going to be used for beyond just the privacy layer for Bitcoin and Cardano, which in and of itself is going to be huge. But a lot of this stuff, the regulatory frameworks for stable tokens, a lot of the government activities, things related to, Bitcoin. I mean, there's so much, but a lot of this stuff is going to be kicking off in May. And I think this is going to really, really send us. This is an approximation based off of what happened back here, but this could be a matter of a week. This could all happen in a week's time, take us to 130 something thousand. anything could happen here, but effectively we're going, the sentiment is the overall focus. The sentiment is from here, where we're at in this reaccumulation phase, we're going to be sending Bitcoin and likely everything else in the crypto market as we continue through May. And that's it in a nutshell. I hope you find this video helpful. And until next time, thanks for joining me. I'll see you soon.